We washed the decks down and found another problem. Watch this. See this opening up? Maybe too much glare. It's not stuck anymore. Steady pressure. There she goes. Just steady pressure. And gone. Okay. Ka-ding. Nelson. And there you go. So that is today's job. Putting that plastic back into the frame. And now when I break all this out, all the pieces, all the dirt, the dust and the crap collects on the carrier bag, it doesn't drop inside the boat. So I've broken out the corner, hit this here with a screwdriver, and now I'm just going to work my way around. You'll notice here, what I'm doing is levering one screwdriver against the other screwdriver whilst using a Stanley knife to cut the sikaflex that's holding the perspex in the frame. The key thing at this stage is to remove as much of the sikaflex or sealant that's been used as is possible. It's a lot easier and a lot cleaner to do this with a sharp knife than it is to do it with a sander or a Dremel. Well, that's the worst of the sikaflex removed with a blade. Now we can start using the Dremel. We have to clean this frame. There are some parts of this hatch that the Dremel simply won't get into, so I'm using a sanding pad to remove those pieces. Once I've done that, I'm going to hoover to get rid of all the dust, and then I'm using an acetone to wipe down the frame. And we already had some plexiglass in the workshop. It was left over from when we did the portholes in one of our yard stays. I'll link to that video in the description below. I've cut it using a jigsaw. It is possible to cut with a jigsaw. The only problem is the heat from the blade will melt the two pieces of plexiglass back together again, so you have to cut quite slowly. Here you need movement in all directions, because when we put this hatch in, it's going to be central, and we will have sikaflex on all four sides of this new plexiglass. The plexiglass comes with a protective plastic layer to prevent scratches. That's on both sides. You need to remove one side of that plastic coating, and then we're going to start masking it ready to place it into the frame. This is the part of the plexiglass that will make contact with the aluminium frame. This is the inside part. I'm using my finger as a guide, and I'm going to prepare that surface for the sikaflex. Okay, place the plexiglass back into the frame the correct way up, and then we're going to mark where the handles are on the plastic film on the outside of the plexiglass. Okay, we've made the marking, we know where the handles are. Take the plexiglass back out of the frame, because now we need to mask off the plexiglass where the handles will be on the inside of the glass. Now we're going to make the masking for the inside of the hatch where the handle sits. And it's easy because we've already drawn the shape of the handle on the opposite side. That's the plexiglass prepared. Now we can start on the frame. Same story, all we're going to do is protect the surfaces of the frame that don't need Sikaflex on them. Once we're happy that all the mating surface of the plexiglass and the aluminium frame are as clean as they can be, I can put the plexiglass in position and just check that everything lines up. Before we start using Sikaflex, I'm going to put a light lubricating oil over the pins of the handles because they swivel, and I do not want the Sikaflex to bond to these pins. This will also lubricate those pins for the future, and the Sikaflex seal around them will prevent the oil from escaping when you flip the hatch vertically. Remember what we're trying to do here. We're trying to create a bed of Sikaflex a few millimeters thick that the plexiglass is going to sit on top of. So it's important that when we put this Sikaflex in, it covers all of the aluminium frame. We don't want to see any bits of aluminium poking through that will give us a dry spot. And then the easy bit, once you're happy that you've got enough Sikaflex in there, you can drop the plexiglass back into the frame. Then we're going to use the Sikaflex gun just to fill in around the sides between the plexiglass and the aluminium frame, and we're going to make sure that we've got an equal distance all the way around it so that we get a good seal. Now we can remove any excess Sikaflex and we can push it down into the gap to ensure that there are no air bubbles. Now we can start the cleanup, and you'll understand why we spent so much time masking this hatch. If you look closely, you'll see the black bead of Sikaflex that's squeezed out between the two layers of blue masking tape. See, I told you all that masking tape was worthwhile. And then a final clean up with some acetone. Then I'm going to leave it with a small weight on top. That will now sit on there for the rest of the evening. Lift the can off tomorrow, and it should be quite nicely stuck down. And there we have it. The finished product. Fairly neat and tidy. Nice lines on the Sikaflex. Bear in mind these hatches are 45 years old probably. So yeah, quite happy with that. That won't leak. There's nothing to talk about. I get a stupid thing out of my face.
Ian's very upset because he's been working all day long on a job that didn't have a post-it note. Whereas I, dun dun dun, this little beauty here, a new swim platform plank.
Temporary.
Ta-da! It's only temporary until you get a proper piece of teak, but at least now the dog can get on and off the swim platform onto the dinghy or the paddleboard.
Yeah, what did we do today? Well, the alarm went off at 0600. That's an O, as in, oh my god. And then we took a bus to
Port of
Spilia,
Spilia.
and then from Spilia we took the ferry to Nidri, and then from Nidri we got on another bus with lots more people, and we went to see the immigration office
In Lefkas.
And the reason we're seeing the immigration office in Lefkas,
We are trying to get our hands on a Greek transit log to let us transit Greek waters.
why do we need a transit log? Surely we're Europeans.
No, we're not Europeans. We're Brexit.
So, question that Tim Griffin asked, what we're doing about Brexit. So here's what we've done so far. Currently the date is
April 19th.
Thank you, Igor. So it's April the
19th. 2021.
And how many days after January were we supposed to have left the EU?
We should have left 19 days ago if we were leaving.
There you go. So we are, to avoid being illegal immigrants in Greece, which is what we would have been, we took out a beige residency card. The beige cards are going to be replaced with biometric cards in the near future. So these cards are only a short stay measure that keep us from being thrown out of Greece, deported, like we were in America.
Yeah.
So we're kind of hanging on by a thin thread with the beige card thing. But anyway, that keeps us in the country. But for us to be able to move the boat, we need a thing called a transit log. Now, the transit log is issued to boats that are non-European.
Because of that, the UK vessels now do need a transit log, the same as the Americans and the Australians. But because of our VAT paid status, they are having to try and give us an unlimited transit log or a different length. Obviously, boats like ours, we have to try and prove we are VAT paid, but the boat is old enough that it doesn't need VAT.
VAT didn't exist on boats back in 1978 when this vessel was launched.
Yeah.
Which complicates things, because how do you tell somebody from a different country that your boat doesn't require VAT payment?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because our Greeks are pretty weak. So that's where we're at.
But this morning we spent a couple of hours with a Greek customs agent who was trying to see what paperwork we needed by discussing directly with the customs official in Lefkas, because every customs official in every different office at the moment has what it deems the correct procedure, but obviously every single office is slightly different.
They seem to vary. And the other problem we've got obviously is COVID. It makes travel quite difficult. It makes it hard for us to be able to get to these locations to see officials because the offices are closed. You can't just turn up and ask for an appointment or go in and ask a few questions because the doors are locked.
Yeah.
So, and they don't answer emails.
So.
And they don't answer questions, to be honest. So we're not actually any the wiser. We've been told to come back again in a week's time, which is great if it was an easy trip, but it's not a 5-minute thing. It's hassle getting there and getting back. It's taken us all day.
And we had to find a dog sitter.
Yeah.
And now the dog is broken because obviously he was spoiled over Anna's boat and got to lay on the couch all morning.
Yeah, bad dog. So, Tim, it's a long-winded answer to your question, but I think what we're going to do, we are going to comply in the same way that the Americans do. So we're not going to try and get an unlimited transit log, which is what some people have been trying to do. The paperwork for the unlimited transit log is greater than the paperwork for the 18-month transit log. So we're aiming at that, which is what shouldn't be too difficult to get. Fair?
Fair.
So yeah, that's where we're at. Back into the inner sanctum. Next one. Of it. And then this is the steel. There's nothing wrong with this steel, it just needs chipping back and painting. Matt, say something funny for the end of the video.
What do you call a chicken staring at salad?
I don't know, Nat. What do you call a chicken staring at salad?
No, staring at lettuce. Oh.